Welcome back, everyone, to the Sporting Chance podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Mountain State Falconry Supply.com, your home for your micro hawking needs.
What's up, guys? If you're anything like me and you like braided equipment, leashes, jesses, there's no better place than MidnightFalconry.com. Richard Moats puts a lot of effort into the finest, tightest braids that money can buy.
Listen, folks, now's the time. Heck, it might even be too late. Check out North Mountain Goshawks to secure your hunting partner for, inshallah, next season, but possibly the season after. All right, everyone, welcome to the Sporting Chance podcast. Today we are joined by a very special guest, Ben Makepeace. Ben is a falconer that is living in Japan. Ben, where do you originally come from?
That's right. I'm from the UK. I was born in Oxford, lived kind of all over the UK, Yorkshire, Wales, London for a short while. I've been in Japan 23 years.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. Am I hearing a little bit of Japanese in your accent? Do you think
it's quite possible? Yeah, after 23 years, certain things rub off on you. Yeah.
Okay. So what brought you to Japan, if you don't mind me asking?
Actually, I first came when I was 23 years old. I forgot about that. I came for a year. I met a very unique Japanese man in Wales, and he invited me. Totally unrelated to falconry, but so I spent a year here then. And then when I was 26, in Wales, in a music festival, I met my now wife, who's Japanese.
Cool. It's awesome.
All right. That women
What kind
will
of
do
music?
that for you, won't they?
There was a boom of Welsh pop music at that time, even famous as far as Tokyo. So she'd come to see Welsh language pop music group.
That's cool. That's a unique way to meet your spouse.
Yeah, I literally bumped into her at the festival. Literally.
Wow. That's I want to hear more, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But
Exactly.
Good for you.
Never mind that.
Good for you.
So when did you start falconry?
I started when I was 14, so that's going to be... Jesus, that's 42, coming up 43 years ago.
Wow. It's a long run.
Obviously, that was in England.
Yeah.
Okay. So, when in America, we have to have a falconry sponsor to start us. So over there, across the pond, as we say, you can just start falconry without a sponsor.
Yeah, basically, I had no input from anybody. I had the only books I had got hold of were like 300-year-old. I got like 200, 300, 400-year-old books. I could tell you the books if you like, but that's all I had. And I had a bird specialist newspaper advertising kestrels. That's European kestrels, yeah, for sale. And up till 14, I'd kept every creature imaginable, every wild pet you can think. And my long-suffering father, when I was 14, he casually said to me, you should get a kestrel. And he'd always, I say long-suffering, he always kind of groaned and grimaced every time I brought something else home. And my mother is animal crazy, but my father not so. So when he mentioned this word, I thought, if there's one animal I can keep that my father will approve of, and that was what made the switch. Very arbitrary thing, but up to then I'd kept corvids, all kind of birds and stuff. But never looked back from 14, and no license, as you say, no mentor, no sponsor. After about a year, I discovered that a guy called Nick Fox lived like 30 minutes drive away. I mean, talk about falling on your feet.
Wow.
So the first year I didn't really have a clue. I started calling Nick Fox and he put me straight on a few things. And then I went on a course. I was probably 15 by then. I went on a 1 week residential course at Nick's place. And he put me on the straight and narrow about most things, which was great. Mm.
Was that a program that he runs at his facility, or was that just because you connected with them?
No, it was a program. I don't think he does them now. I'm not sure, but it was the very first one he did. I think the very first year he did them. It was all a bit play by ear, but obviously I absorbed everything he told us. It was great.
Yeah. I'm completely separate from you, not to talk about myself, but it is relevant. I grew up having a sponsor who was excellent, who taught me well, but I grew up watching all of Nick Fox's videos. The Bird of Prey Management series is 6 videos.
Right.
I just watched those videos on repeat.
Yeah.
So probably the same things he was telling you in that course, I was hearing similar things that set the foundation also on top of what my sponsors taught me to move forward with. And he's just...
What were you hearing, Casey?
I was hearing a lot. Aaron's trying to set me up here. The lure. I just, he was excellent though. All little common sense things that you would never think of. Don't put your bird on its regular perch that you would perch it out on and call it to the lure. Right. Because then the bird thinks it can just leave the perch and it's going to bait all day.
Yeah.
Place the bird somewhere else and then call it. Just very common sense stuff that an amateur may not even think of, and just do that. And it could cause problems. Yeah, it was just great stuff. And transit, the diet, and having all different things, feeding for a good, well-rounded diet. It's a great series.
I'm sure it's probably still the best material available anywhere,
Oh, yeah.
We want to get him on the podcast, Ben.
Badly, very badly. We want him on the show.
At this point, he's probably our number one guest that we want.
Yeah, he's very slippery. Yeah. He's a slippery guy.
Slippery character. He's a busy man. And
he's very busy. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll figure it out. But that's amazing. That's it. I mean, talk about the odds.
An influential guy, though.
Yeah. 30 minutes from your house, and you had access to him, and you did a course directly with him and at his facility. That's incredible.
Yeah. And in fact, I'd lost my first kestrel. I what it was I was in Wales, come home from school. It would be dark already. Well, it would be twilight as the year gets on. And you don't kind of notice that it's getting darker and darker every night, but you're just desperate to get home, get your bird out and fly it. And of course, one evening, the bird just went and roosted in a tree. It's bedtime, and I'm pretty sure Tony Owl got it. So then I went on his course, birdless, and he was absolutely so good to me. He had one peregrine at the time, and he let me handle the peregrine. He had a few birds. He had a couple of buzzards, I think, and another kestrel. It was the beginning of his breeding, so he hadn't bred jeers or anything. He was trying to breed merlins. He had 3 pairs of New Zealand falcons. So after the course and after another week, he had a second week of advanced course for which I couldn't afford to go on, but he lent me that buzzard for a year. So he actually lent me a common buzzard, which was a great experience too, very kind.
What were your thoughts on that bird?
Buzzard, amazingly, they can be switched on, and they can be pretty agile. They've got this image of being lazy and pretty useless. I mean, they're not anything like a red tail in that sense. I mean, red tails are superb hunting birds. But I caught a few things with her, and she was switched on. When I was on the ball, she was pretty switched on.
What did you catch with that bird?
Just young wood pigeons. Unfortunately, also a cat.
That's not unfortunate. That's a good thing.
Casey loves that.
That's a good thing.
And young rabbits, yeah.
Okay.
So, but what I was training her to was I was using rook wings on a lure and like throwing the rook wings, and she'd like be straight onto those rooks. So we actually hunted rooks, but we never actually caught an adult rook. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody, there's that opinion about those birds, and you hear all this and that about them, that they're kind of like our version of, in the States, we have a red-shouldered hawk.
Sure.
It's a similar kind of reputation they have. And I currently, and last year I had the same exact situation. I have a red-shouldered nest in my front yard.
Right.
And I mean, like, everybody that tries to fly them, they can't get them to do anything.
No.
There's no evidence of anybody actually catching wild game with one.
Right.
Maybe a picture or two here and there, or like anecdotal, but nobody's like gone out and hawked rabbits or pheasants with one and caught anything.
Yeah.
But this Tierso comes back to the nest every day with small birds, starlings, sparrows, doves, like everything. So I'm like, these birds have to be like very capable to be doing this multiple times a day.
Yeah.
You know, like somebody just needs to harness it.
Yeah.
And so I say all that to say that and I, obviously it's just one video, but I saw a video of, it was like a game camera on a rabbit warren. Mm-hmm. And you see the rabbit out there kind of walking around. There may have been actually two of them. And then all of a sudden you see them just dart in the hole. And then you see a common buzzard just like whoosh, like boom, right at the hole. Yeah. And like, it was like super. And I'm like, well, it obviously wanted to catch that full grown European rabbit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, how bad could they be?
Well, they do. They take large seagulls, and they take crows. One thing later on, when I was 19, I worked in abatement in Britain, in Kent, and we had a female imprint, common buzzard called Lady Jane, and she was a bit of a monster to handle, but she actually took down a greater black-backed gull. I don't know if you know what they are.
No, they're huge. Yeah, they're big.
Yeah, they're massive.
Yeah.
She just wasn't letting go. She brought it down. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
They have it in them.
Yeah. And they got a strong grip. Just small feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
To Casey's point, they all have to eat. They all have to survive. They've got to feed their young. So you would think that we could harness it for falconry.
Yeah. It's a bit like, the Eurasian hobby. Generations of European falconers have said, like, I'm going to be the one that's going to harness this awesome potential. And we all fail,
Yep. Same with the red shoulder here. We got whole Facebook pages devoted to falconry and red shoulders, and there's nothing to show for it but a bunch of guys with cowboy hats doing baggies in parks with credences,
doing knife work on camera.
Yeah, and then doing creepy knife drills with Arabian music playing in the background. That's the guy. Yeah, that guy's a weirdo. But that's the guy who has the whole page. He's in that job. But yeah, anyway. So all right, moving on. Moving on from that.
So that's your falconry background in England, and you moved to Japan. And how long did it take you to pick up falconry there?
I think I had a couple of years out, and then one day a friend of mine came up, and he said, obviously in Japanese, he said, "Do you have the mind? How can I translate it?
Say it in Japanese first, and then
okay. Takakaoki arimasu ka? Takakaoki arimasu ka?" And it sounds surprising. It means, would you think of keeping a hawk again? Yeah. But it sounds very similar to, do you have a device that can cut very high branches? And I'm like,
Okay.
It took a while to sink in that he was offering the chance to get, and he said, like, this super rich guy who was known to a friend of his had bought this American hawk, couldn't train it, wanted to get rid of it. And my friend had remembered that I was a falconer. So I went to see this American hawk, and of course it was a Harris.
Couldn't train the Harris?
Sorry?
He couldn't train the Harris?
Well, he was one of these guys, right? Rich guy, got drunk with his friends and like, oh, I really admire falconers. I'd love to be a falconer. And they were like, yeah, put your money where your mouth is. Get on with it. And he just wasn't the right person for it, really.
Right. Right. Maybe lacked the guidance. Because as I understand it, there's no official licensing system in Japan for falconry. It's similar to the UK, if I'm not mistaken.
That's absolutely right. Very similar situation. And unfortunately, we have a huge problem with unscrupulous breeders and dealers dishing out imprint Harrises. Yeah. That was the other problem. This was an imprint and it hated his wife. Yeah. That was one of the main reasons he wanted to get rid of it, I guess. I kind of suspected in the end.
Okay. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I could see if falconry is already a drain on your spouse most of the time. Yeah. And if that bird wants to kill your spouse every chance it gets on top of that, I could see how that would be an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't do anything with that bird?
I did a bit. It was, I never actually caught anything. That's right. I had some good flights on the copper pheasants here. And I was on good flights on crows, but there are no rabbits here, no ground game.
Really?
Which is for the best. I mean, I'm not really into ground game, to be honest, but it was just this thing. This guy wanted to get rid of this hawk, and I thought, well, I'll take it on and give it a go. And I ended up actually, strangely, swapping it for another Eurasian kestrel because I just something about the way a falcon uses the airspace, which a Harris doesn't really, which really turns me on. And then after the kestrel, I had hobbies, and then peregrines. I had 4 wild peregrines here, rehabilitation, because of course I got to be the hawk guy, if you like. And I live on an island with granite quarries. And it regularly happens that the quarry people want to go back to an old face and they find a nest or they find an ass that's jumped the nest. So I got called out 4 times, and I had the amazing privilege of flying these, not rehabilitating, I'm pretty sure they were all tiercels. There was one which was an in-betweenie. And they all gave me a few surprises, but one in particular was phenomenal. By the time it went independent, it was literally herding flocks of seabirds, small seabirds, over the sea. I mean, like a sheepdog on a massive herd of sheep. It was just phenomenal.
That's cool. That's incredible. So they would call you. You would go and pick them up. So I'm guessing these birds were imprints or something.
Well, they were usually around 4 weeks, 3 weeks. I had one at 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And I had a couple of from 10 days old where I suspect the quarryman just deliberately thought, well, we just got to get on with our work. And well, that guy will take the babies, So they just handed me these 2 babies saying they'd fallen out of the nest, but not 10 days old, I think.
Right. Gotcha.
So, Ben, admittedly, the just falconry in general is a little bit of a mystery to me and Casey, and I think a lot of American falconers in Japan.
Yeah.
So you're talking a lot about taking wild birds and working with them. You talked about kind of immediately getting into falconry. It doesn't sound like there's a licensing process there.
There's no licensing. And with the wild birds, that was totally under the radar. I mean, I'm not worried about this legally because I did my best to save those birds, yeah. And they went back to the wild. And in fact, one of them, most bizarre case, it was a 4-year-old bird that somebody had actually kept in a tiny cage or 4 years, it had never been able to spread its wings. I managed to persuade him to hand it over to me, and that bird was the fastest to rehabilitate. It had a weird way of flying. It had this really kind of jerky, mechanical way of flying. But for motivation, I've never seen a bird like it. And it actually went on to breed with an old female on this island. I mean, that was just phenomenal experience for me.
Wow.
This weird kind of stunted bird made it in the wild, you know.
That was a bird that was going to survive regardless.
Yeah. So as you say, there's no licensing system, and what we have, I mean, there's a big kind of romantic image, I think, of Japanese traditions. Yeah. So falconry came here in the 4th century, and it was always controlled first by the emperor, then by the shoguns and the feudal lords. And essentially, there were schools of falconry, if you like there are of the tea ceremony. In fact, samurai, there are particular schools, if you like, sects, if you like. So there are still about 6 remaining schools of falconry, but that claim to be active. But there's only really one that I know of, the Suaryu, and it's going to be shocking to you Americans, but in the whole of Japan, I can tell you there must be less than 10 real active falconers hunting wild game. Yeah. Wow. It's quite shocking. And in fact, probably less than 5. Yeah. Probably 10 includes the guys doing abatement. So I know a few people, guys and gals actually, doing abatement and actually catching things during abatement. Yeah. But they keep on the tradition in those schools, but when you actually look into it, they go to festivals and they fly a Harris hawk back and forth, stuff like that, that's not traditional Japanese falconry.
Far from it.
Yeah. I did a little deep dive before your episode, and the sex, the way it was kind of compiled is that it's almost like the different martial arts like judo and jujitsu. Yes. They're similar, but they're different. And there was falconry sects they kind of had their way of doing things and they kept it tight. And then there was like almost like a belt system where they would increase in skill as they went through that particular discipline.
Sure.
It's fascinating. It is fascinating.
And of course, the birds they flew are passage goshawks. Yeah.
Of course.
And I do have, I have one good friend who is a really fine falconer and also a breeder, and he's part of that Suaryu. He sticks to the traditional methods as much as possible, of course, using modern telemetry, et cetera, et cetera. Right. But of course, there's no wild take here. So there are no passage goshawks. But I've been out with him and been duck hunting successfully. And it's fascinating, all his implements. And, of course, all those traditional implements are quite popular here. Like most falconers get them and use them that way. But almost none of them actually hunt in the sense of, real hunting. So you see at those displays, you see goshawks, and particularly white goshawks, Siberian, very popular. There's lots of people flying those birds, but when you look into it, they say they caught a pheasant, but it's quite obviously a bagged pheasant, and a setup.
Right. Yeah.
I'd heard that there was a method out in Japan to use like a fine line, like a creance while you're hunting.
Actually, I believe that's more like Southeast Asia, or possibly parts of China.
This guy's racist. Listen, they're all Aaron, not all Asians are the same, man. Goodness me.
I've never actually heard
Korea
of that.
is not part of Japan. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, don't bring that up, Aaron, please.
You could be right. There could have been that in the past, but I've not heard of it in modern times.
Right. Interesting.
Next, he's going to say that they put a long red feather attached to the bell on the tail.
Oh, well,
that's another Asian.
Who did that, Casey?
That's another Asian country that does that. It's part of their tradition.
Yeah, but I believe that's also because falconry came through the Korean Peninsula to Japan. So
they say,
they do have that tradition too. One very fascinating thing that my good friend Keiichiro Endo told me. I mean, it was always all about passage goshawks, but there was one kind of ceremonial thing where they used to, in times past, they would catch a passage peregrine and they would train it to live pigeons. And what they would do, 3 falconers would stand in a huge triangle, each holding a pigeon, and they would release the barely trained peregrine. And in turn, they would show it the pigeon. And when it came towards them, they'd hide the pigeon. And then another guy would show the pigeon. And this way, the peregrine would go up and start waiting on. And then they'd move over to where they had the pheasant marked down. And they would take the pheasant with the peregrine. Then the pheasant was given to the daimyo, the feudal lord, or perhaps the shogun. So it was a kind of ceremonial thing. And then after they'd done that, basically they released the peregrine because for them, peregrines weren't really practical hunting birds in this very mountainous enclosed country. Yeah.
That is extremely fascinating. Now, you said some of the traditional implements that people still buy and they still use. I noticed one that I think is probably one of the pieces of equipment that you're referring to, which I've never seen in the States, but it actually looks pretty cool. And like, now I want to get one. Yeah. It looks like a little, almost like my wife's makeup box that you open.
Yes.
And there's a little, they have like a little holster on their sash and it slides in there and they pop it open. I guess there's tidbits in there, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Talk about that a little bit and some of the equipment.
Just use your wife's makeup case, Casey.
Yeah, dude. It's perfect. No, I want the traditional. I want that hand carved. And I want the robe too.
I believe it's lacquerware. The real ones, yeah.
Can you purchase those? Is there anywhere you could purchase one of those?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You have to give me your address later and I'll send you one. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. All right. You got it. You're going to get that. Yeah, you're going to get it.
Do you guys have a Japanese falconry supplier, much like we have, our Mike's Falconry in America?
Yes, we do. We do. And there's also imported gear. In fact, a young friend of mine kind of set herself up to import. She used to get from Pakistan, but more from Indonesia now. Good quality, cheap goods and stuff. So one thing I wanted to mention about the real Japanese falconry is that my friend said to me, and this is coming from the past to the modern day, he said, we make a hawk. So my approach to falconry is just leading on the falcon to express its instincts. I mean, it's very much leading on. I honestly don't train my birds, and that people are confused about that, but I really don't. I let a falcon be a falcon. But he's the opposite. He said, we make a bird. We don't train it. We don't give it these kind of life choices, if you like. And that comes from what would happen. The shogun perhaps would have a group of maybe 12 falconers, all carrying the goshawk on the fist. And he would randomly, at whim, point to any one of them and say, right, give me a hawk. I want to catch that duck with this hawk now. And the hawk, everything had to perform like clockwork, yeah. And that's what he means by make the hawk. It was all kind of automatic, the way things worked, and the discipline involved, yeah. Totally different approach.
Yeah. that's the vibe I got from my research, is that it was, like I said, like a martial art.
Yeah.
Like it was like extremely strict. You didn't move on with your responsibilities or what you were given until you mastered like whatever it was, making a pair of anklets or whatever. It was taken extremely seriously. And that's, that stuck out to me. That was so neat.
Unless I'm mistaken, that's very cultural in general in Japan, isn't it? It's discipline.
It is. They're a very, very serious race. I mean, and because of that, there are so many good things in the society and so many fine skills. Yeah.
Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, but the notion that I get is whatever you do it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether that's sweeping the street or making a product, whatever you're going to do it to perfection.
Do it to perfection and do it the right way, and do it the way that your superiors and elders have said is the right way is another point. Yeah. That's also.
That's why they got along so well with the Germans.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Extremely similar approaches to things.
Exactly. They're just deadly serious. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about the birds in Japan. So my understanding is a lot of Harris hawks in Japan. You had said earlier, a lot of Siberian goshawks. Mm-hmm. I understand based on your social media that you're interested in Aplomato falcons.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Are there, as far as native Japanese birds like the mountain hawk eagles and things like that, is anything like that in possession of falconers in Japan?
I think there's one last mountain hawk eagle because we don't have wild take yet, but there's one maybe ancient falconer with an ancient mountain hawk eagle, and that's about it. There may be guys under the radar. You never know. You can't be definitive, but basically there's zero mountain hawk eagle falconry these days.
So it is regulated to some degree where you can't pull wild birds or trap.
Oh, that regulation is very strict. There's absolutely zero wild take. And that's probably actually America's fault when what they call the Washington Treaty, which was the beginning of CITES, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. When America announces a rule, Japan just like takes it deadly seriously, and it's absolute. Yeah. So there's been no official wild take since that moment.
And it's your numbers are limited, so the push to open it up, with all the evidence that is just out there about passage birds and our impact, and it would probably be very difficult and a very hard uphill battle to change it.
Jesus, man, you wouldn't believe the trouble we have, right? To put this in perspective, the chap I was talking about, he's becoming fair-sized breeder of peregrines, and I breed Barbaries, red napes, and I'm hoping to breed peregrines. And the Japanese, basically the government department, they allow us to import from CITES registered breeders, and they even allow us officially to export those birds. Yeah. But they don't allow us, they have no system for us to be CITES registered, and they don't allow us, therefore, to export any Appendix 1 birds. And they have no intention of ever. So imagine like a handful of us even trying to put a bit of pressure on that to be on the global standard of having CITES registered breeders. Yeah.
Right.
Nobody's trying to cheat here. Nobody's trying to take wild peregrines. We're just trying to become officially registered. And there's probably a very slim chance of that happening. It doesn't bother me so much as it bothers him. I mean, he started that game hoping to be an exporter and a kind of a player on the global scale.
Right.
That doesn't really appeal to me. But to get wild take, I mean, you'd have to have goshawks of plague proportions, like slaughtering little dogs or something,
right,
before it would get to that point.
I wish.
Even then, it probably wouldn't,
Yeah. Now, has this ever been brought up or addressed to NAFA or the IAF?
About wild take?
Yeah, because they do get involved in some of these
NAFA would not in Japan.
They do. No, they do, Aaron. They do.
Why would they?
They do all the time. What are you talking about? They I think they just made it legal in Brazil.
They probably have a Japanese organization then.
Yeah.
Is there a falconry community?
There is.
Japan?
There is a falconry, National Falconry Association, I think.
Okay.
Unfortunately, as with most countries, there's kind of what you might call infighting and people with dark history and this and that. So it never really gets anything coherently moving because the main people who want to get position of power don't have actually a clean record or
right.
So I don't really bother with that, mainly because I've been advised not to by some good friends who I trust. Yeah,
gotcha.
And basically, nothing happens. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to say is like we are trying to advise the Japanese government to take CITES fully on board. Yeah. On the other hand, we have extremely strict regulations. When I breed my Barberries, for example, I have to take tens of photos. I have to make a breeding report. I have to submit that. Every year the same thing, and then it takes a long time for it to come back. So I can't sell my birds young, if you like, as imprints. And then 5 years later, we got to go through the process all over again to re-register these Appendix 1 birds. I'm not sure about America. Do you have that?
I'm not Aaron's a breeder. I am not, so I wouldn't know how strict. I know it is more strict than just being a falconer over here.
It's not too cumbersome if you already have the bird. The bird is under your propagation license. They issue the identification bands, and then when the birds are of a certain age, you put the bands on the bird, and when you sell the bird, the new owner reports it, and you report the transfer, and that's it.
That's so simple. I mean, that's logical, common sense, and I wish we could do it that way. But we have that extreme form of control as far as CITES implementation, but they don't take the CITES breeding register part of the implementation.
So you get all of the cons and none of the pros.
Exactly.
That's frustrating.
Gotcha.
And you've got these cool birds there in Japan, these cool native species that people would probably love to have, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the main one would be peregrines. Yeah, the local peregrines. There are a few passage merlins. The mountain hawk eagle would be, I mean, wild take of those would be an amazing thing for some people.
What about the goshawks? So the goshawks are a bit different than other countries, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not sure how different.
Okay.
There's, I think it's the same goshawk that goes through South Asia.
Are you sure?
I think I saw a range map, but there's, it's kind of surprising to me, even at this stage, is there's just not a whole lot of information about certain birds of prey out there.
Basically, I think what we have is a race of the Eurasian goshawk, different to the North American, and it goes right across Eurasia. And we have Eurasian sparrowhawks only in winter here. And then we have what is called the Japanese sparrowhawk, which breeds here, which is almost like your sharpshin, a little larger than sharpshin.
Yeah. But even with that said, there is different localities across that whole range. Yeah. So like the fin birds are different than the albitus. Different. Exactly. There's different albitus in different ranges that present differently than others. So I feel like that I'm not wrong in saying that the goshawk that would live in Japan would be slightly different than other areas. Right. Yes. I thought, Aaron, didn't we do like a semi deep dive in this where it was like smaller and darker?
It's
It has a
certain
unique look to
species,
it.
very, very yellow eyes, really dark in color.
Sure.
Yeah. Are there any of those in Japan that people are flying, or are they all imported birds?
They're all imported birds. Or there are a few breeders, breeding from. Actually, what we did have was a lot of Uzbekistan wild take imported.
Okay.
Not Appendix 1, but goshawks, merlins, hobbies, that kind of thing.
Fascinating. So it sounds like it's very strict. Clearly so. But then I watched a YouTube video, as one does, and gets educated or completely
everything.
The opposite of educated.
Now you know everything.
But there was a guy from the States, I believe he was, and he went over there to go on a bear hunt.
Yeah.
And it seemed very like not that big of a deal. And he met up with a bunch of local hunters, and they were all in their orange, just like we are over here.
Yeah.
And he stopped at, some well-known guy who's just a regular hunter, and he had skulls and, hides. And it just seemed like it was over here. And it was like, you just put in for your tag and you get them. But that seems to be because people are getting mauled left and right. And I think it's still going on right now, right?
Yeah. We have a huge bear problem. Luckily for me, thankfully for me, not on my island and not even on Shikoku, which is what they call a mainland, but it's rather a huge island. But in the northern parts, northern and eastern, bears are increasing year by year, and incidents are happening all the time. So obviously, they welcome hunters who will take bears. And what we do have a problem here is wild boar. Wild boar have exploded. But obviously the firearms is very strictly controlled. Right. But on the other hand, there aren't, people who want firearms usually want them for hunting anyway. So there's the other thing is we have only a 3-month hunting season for everything officially.
Wow.
Mid-November to mid-February. And falconry, there's no special rules about falconry, and falcons are not licensed as a hunting weapon. So we don't need any license whatsoever, and even a hunting license. But we have to stick to that 3-month hunting season.
That's frustrating. And I'm assuming there has, but based off of what you said earlier, I'm sure it's difficult to try to apply any pressure, not even pressure, but just maybe submit some sort of, request and show documents and impact and whatever. That's been attempted or no?
I get the feeling democracy doesn't really work the same way in Japan that it does in America or even Britain. Yeah.
Barely works here. I got news.
The vibe I get is it would be, it's not culturally appropriate to really rock the boat and question authority there.
Exactly. A rule is a rule, and a rule is a rule forever. Something really drastic has to happen before anything changes here.
Understand.
So is it pretty common for people to disregard that rule? Or are people generally rule followers there?
The Japanese people as a race, they follow the rules, and quite surprisingly so. I mean, the kind of thing that wouldn't affect anybody, and you'd think, you go out to a cafe and then you realize you haven't got your driver's license yet. And the cafe is just round the corner from your house. I'd just say, never mind, I'll just drive home, But the average Japanese person, if they realize that, they would, oh my God, I forgot my license. I've got to call my wife, I've got to call my friend to go to my house and get my license before I can get home,
Wow.
It's literally like that. And that's not, I'm not dissing that in any way. Because of that, we have a wonderfully safe society. People just don't steal things. I don't lock my house most of the time. I don't lock my car. I just love Japan because everybody else follows the rules, if you like.
Right. Yeah, right. Makes sense.
Yeah, sounds like society works well there. So those 3 months for you, do they make sense as far as the seasons are concerned? Is it 3 good months of hunting?
Yeah. At first, I was very frustrated. I mean, when I was rehabilitating the peregrines, obviously I flew them from when they could fly. Yeah. But as years go by, it starts to make sense because I'm literally, for those 3 months, I'm out there every single day, seeing dramatic, amazing flights. I take snipe with my female aplomado, amazing climbing flights. And I take, my last season, I took ducks with my Shaheen, red napedShaheen, tearsel, up to quite large ducks. And it's just a full on, because you've only got 3 months, you make the most of it. Yeah. I mean, I hardly miss a single day. I'm out there every day. And then at the end of 3 months, it's like, whew, well, it's actually quite nice to have a break, you know?
Yeah. That's how you know you put in some serious effort in the season when it comes to an end and you're like, you almost feel like a sense of relief come over you.
Yeah.
Like,
we only have 4 months here, about
right
4.5 realistically, but 4 months of like good weather, because when the season starts here, it's really hot. And there's a lot of green on the foliage, and most of what we're doing here is what we call dirt hawking rabbits and squirrels.
Yeah.
And that stuff it's hard to chase those when everything is still green.
Absolutely. That's my other feeling here. Like, I used to hate it that we had to wait till the middle of November, but now I realize that there's no point before then because of the points you made, you know.
Yeah, there's always a point. Come on. Gotta get out there. Jersey, the season opens in September and ends in March 31st.
Well, where Casey lives, it's probably cold when the season opens. Down here, it's still like 95, 100 degrees.
Yeah, Aaron's coming from North Carolina. I'm up by New York and New Jersey area.
The two places I've been to in America, the only two places I've been to in America.
Have you been to both places?
Yeah, my father, I talk about the earlier father I was talking about was actually my stepfather who raised me, but my actual birth father, if you like, was a global specialist in ants.
Wow.
That's neat.
He had a year's job in North Carolina in Raleigh University, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. NC State or Chapel Hill.
Right. Yeah. So I went out there for 3 months and stayed in North Carolina. And then I went for like 10 days to New York. And I have to say, my eyes opened in New York. I mean, of all the cities all over the world I've been, it's like people are just so switched on to the same thing. It's amazing.
Yeah. Money. money.
Money.
Yeah. Like, they're basically like ants, if you think about it.
Yeah.
That's literally what they're doing.
Down here, we're thinking about barbecue and
chill out. Yeah.
There's a bunch of ants up here, man. I mean, you go to you get a drone shot of all these people walking. I mean, they're basically ants at that point.
Yeah.
Just going to work, going to their colony, trying to bring back some little leaves and stuff to their little tiny family. Feed their pupae or whatever.
Just trying to bring back some leaves and shit.
Trying to make some bread, as they say in New York.
Make some bread,
yeah. Well, that's interesting, man. So now we did have, so now you're bringing up some stuff that now we got to dive into. You're talking snipe hawking is a very big thing over here. Oh. It's a challenging species to hunt regardless of how you're hunting it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time you're either, from what I've heard, never done it. You're marking them you're either seeing them out there or you're marking them with dogs. So how are you guys setting up your slips?
Well, you say you guys, but it's literally only me. Yeah.
How are you by yourself with maybe 2 other people in your whole country setting up your slips?
Yeah. I don't set up slips actually for snipe. I don't know if you've seen any of my falconry, but I don't tether my birds. I don't train them with tethering at all. I don't use all that. So I just go out with what you call a giant hood. I have, say, the female aplomado in a big box. I open the box, she comes out, and we walk across the largest paddy fields we can find, or sometimes it's paddy fields which have kind of regressed to a more overgrowth kind of thing because people have stopped farming it. And we just walk them up off the fist, if you like, or she might be, she might fly around, she might be somewhere else, but generally off the fist or off the top of my head, if you like.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And
what is it with Applos? They love that.
They love that, yeah.
They're smart, that's why.
She just wants to show me she's boss, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Put me in my place.
And then they are surprisingly fast Apple models. They're extremely fast. So I'm guessing, are you catching them on the rise or is she putting them in?
No. You wouldn't catch a snipe on the rise, or it wouldn't be what. Not only are they incredibly fast, they're incredibly intelligent, and it's a mind game and a tactical flight. So what happens is, like a rocket, they follow that rocket bird up into the sky, but they're always waiting for the weak point, and they're studying. Yeah. And what generally pans out is they'll go up almost out of sight in a clear blue sky, and then you'll see the snipe, tiny little dot, panicking, diving for cover. And once it's panicked, it's hers usually. I mean, it might be lucky to escape, but so she'll take it. Perhaps, I mean, she has taken the odd one on the rise, if you like, or quite a way up, and she's taken the odd one on the way down. But usually, as they get near the ground, and they have to slow down to stop killing themselves when they go into cover, then she's there, she's got it.
Wow. I mean, I would. Do you have videos of that?
Yeah, I got loads of those videos. If you look on my Facebook, I got loads of those. I mean, I can resend them if you like.
You definitely should. And I'm gonna. Is your Facebook, just for the listeners and myself? Your Facebook is the same.
Yeah, Ben Makepeace.
Makepeace. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I said bad. Dyslexia over here in America. That's what they call it in America. That's okay. That's incredible.
Last name, Ben.
Yeah.
Is that your real name?
Yeah, it is my real name. It's I was talking about the two fathers that I have. So it's my parents divorced when I was like 2, and my stepfather's name he's Nick Makepeace, and I was given his name without any choice in the matter. So it's real, but it's not my actual birth name. But it's an amazing name to live up to. It's been a name I've tried to live up to all my life, really. Yeah.
I mean, your apples are not making peace in these videos. I mean, this is crazy stuff. Oh my goodness!
Wow, Casey's is actually Casey Make War.
I'm making war. Yeah, Casey Make War. Casey Make Drama. That's what it is.
Make drama.
Wow, man. Oh my goodness. That's fascinating. Okay, because in the States, I don't know if anybody's really doing it that way. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody. We're going to get an email from a couple of people.
I do it like this.
Yeah, I've done it like, but usually it's like usually it's a tiercel peregrine waiting on.
Yeah.
And then it's from a stoop, just smacking it.
Well, that is standard snipe hawking, and usually with a pointer, yeah, or a slipper, yeah.
And do you guys use dogs at all over there?
Well, I have the chap I mentioned previously. He has an English setter, and another friend. He's quite visible on SNS, called Stooper. He has a Brittany Spaniel. And every year I'm like, yeah, I've got to get a dog. This is, I'm basically the dog in this relationship. Yeah, I'm the one who jumps in the thicket to bust out the doves, if you like, or woodcock. Yeah, right. I mean, I'd love. The problem is, when you look at the ground, it's really hard to have a dog off the leash, without it. potentially getting into trouble without trespassing, it's not such a big deal. People are quite very kind of easygoing about that kind of thing. But one point is, I'd love a dog that would jump in the pond and swim after the ducks and get them off, and I'd love a dog that would bust out the woodcock. And I will do it at some point. But the other problem for me is I have an incredibly busy lifestyle. I have literally 2 full-time jobs. I have a family. I have 4 bands to keep happy.
Yeah.
So I literally don't get a spare minute. And the dog would be probably sat at home on its own, and it's a big responsibility having a dog. It's like having a child in a way for me. I don't know.
Yeah. I could see that.
You said 4 bands, music bands?
Sorry? Yeah. I'm, if you look over there.
Bands?
You might see you see that blue double bass? I'm a
yeah. So you're like a music producer?
I'm in my dreams, baby.
You're not like the Japanese P. Diddy, right? No.
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yo, respect.
You respect, you know what I'm saying? No. Ben's got a sense of humor. That's awesome.
So, okay. That's interesting. So you had mentioned the land access. What is that like in Japan? People are not...
Good question.
People are not terribly particular about their private property. Is there public land that you can hunt on? What's the deal there?
So where I am, there's not an awful lot of public land to hunt on, but what there is private land. But if you get back to the point where Japanese people don't really break the rule, they don't go on other people's land and do dodgy things in general. Yeah. I mean, it might happen, but because of that, people are not paranoid that that's going to happen yet. So nobody even thinks that that's a problem. So I wonder about, there's land which is probably officially owned by somebody, but nobody bothers with the land. It's like old rice fields are left to go fallow. So I am actually technically trespassing for most of my falconry, but it's not a problem because I'm not doing any damage. Nobody's worried about me doing any damage. And if I do get confronted, the outcome is always the same, especially with the aplomado. They come up to me, they go, "What a beautiful creature,"
How do they say that in Japanese?
Kawaii, isn't it? Which actually means cute, yeah. I mean, they use this kawaii, which basically translates to cute for almost everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what they used to call me.
Here about there's a whole culture of people who are into Japanese anime, and I always read it as kawaii. But
kawaii, yeah.
It's kawaii.
Kawaii.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means cute.
Cute, yeah.
I guess when me and Casey walk by and we see Japanese girls, we just hear kawaii.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I've heard that before in reference to myself.
But now you know how to pronounce it, yeah.
I should know more, being that my cousins are half Japanese. My uncle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my uncle married a Japanese woman, and so I grew up eating bulgogi and sushi and all of that, and it's an amazing culture. That's why I know a little bit about it. But it's a very rich history of falconry, like one of the most rich in the world. Yeah, sure. And that's why we really are glad to have you on and dive into some of this stuff. I feel like we're missing something.
Mm-hmm.
I know one thing I want to ask, Casey.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yes.
So traditional Japanese, the mews, for lack of better words, the chambers to keep the birds. Do you keep your birds that way in a traditional sense, or are you bringing the European?
I have a lot of Japanese friends who have beautiful traditional mews, and I mean, they are absolutely gorgeous. And I'm kind of tempted to build something like that. But my falconry, since I've been in Japan, has evolved in a very rough and ready way. As I said, I don't tether. And I basically, I built my own breeding facilities, and I'm not a traditionalist in any sense of the word. I'm kind of the opposite, really. Not that tradition is bad, but it's just the way I am. So I don't really follow any traditions, but I absolutely admire, respect, adore those traditional falconry and the way they keep their goshawks. It's absolutely beautiful. And as you say, it's like centuries of common sense condensed into something that really works, So there are plenty of people with that. And, I've got privilege of having that good friend. I can go and see his setup, and he explains all the traditional way, the way they set out the baths for the goshawk in the mold. And interestingly, if I could just show you can you see this thing here?
I was noticing it the whole time you were talking.
I call it a taming box, if you like. This guy slides out. So nice. I designed and developed that, and that's what I've used. I've used that for everything from an American kestrel to peregrines. And after kind of making and building it, I realized that traditional Japanese falconry used almost exactly the same thing. I mean, it's a bizarre thing. And what they did initially, they catch a passive goshawk. Obviously, this might change from sect to sect, as you were saying. But what my friend told me, they would catch it. They wouldn't tether it. They would keep it in a box and almost, probably completely darkened at first. And then day by day, allow more light and get the hawk used to the fact that when he saw a human, he was going to get some food, which is a very similar approach to me in a way. But after that, they would catch it up. They would stick the bells on the red feather, if you like. And they would they would then tether it on a equivalent of a screen perch. I'm sure you've seen those old pictures. So that's a fascinating thing for me, is that I kind of reinvented the wheel here, and they've had that for centuries. Wow. But I don't actually know anybody who uses that method anymore. Yeah. But you can see old drawings and old books of very similar box to this. Obviously more. I mean, the Japanese have got this mastery of untreated wood, and their stuff is just beautiful, really.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why the untreated wood? Just traditional?
It's just traditional because here you have a lot of Japanese cypress and cedar, which basically doesn't rot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they never had the need to treat wood. They developed ways to stop things getting affected by the weather, if you like, traditionally. So for them, it's a natural progress. You get this fresh, raw, untreated. Well, it's seasoned, but untreated wood, and then it darkens with age, or the grain comes out. But that's just the natural progression of it.
Love it.
That's expensive wood if you can get it here. Cedar and cypress and redwood.
Yeah.
That's top dollar stuff. So so now Aaron mentioned it and you expounded a little bit on it. The traditional Japanese muse. How would that differ from ours, like over here in the States? Like that, we have a minimum in most states in the country of 8 by 8 by 8 with like one window and like 2 perches or whatever.
Essentially, it's very similar, but it would look very different because of the traditional style of the building and the wood material. But in essence, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
It would
Nothing
be about
dramatic.
that size.
Okay. Makes sense.
I can't imagine them building like, there's people here who have like plywood, like real crappy looking plywood.
Yeah.
Horrible looking things. I have a feeling that in Japan, they don't really do that.
They don't do that. Except for me.
No. I think some of the stuff we see over here, it's insane. It's like something you'd see in a third world country, like on the side of the road.
Oh no, mine's not that bad.
Yeah. I've seen some bad stuff, man.
How about the laws on now where you're from in England? You cannot train with a live baggie. Are you allowed to do that in Japan?
You are. It's not something I do, but they do. And I feel that it's a bit of a double-edged sword because they end up going down that route and then only flying baggies.
Yeah.
And I don't bother with baggies at all. I mean, I have in the past. I've dabbled in it. I actually did it illegally in Britain when I was a 14-year-old because I only had 300-year-old books, no internet, no idea, nobody to talk to. And the books told me you have to give your hawk a live prey to switch on its hunting instinct or something. This kind of nonsense that you see written in books, yeah. And luckily, Nick Fox slapped me down for that, and not in a kind of superior moral way. In just just be aware of the law, yeah.
Right, yeah. And then he sold you a row crow.
Not yet.
No, he didn't have those
in negotiations, but I want him to make me a row crow that I can drop in the sea and it's going to be absolutely no problem. I can just go and pick it up with a sup board. And
he used to make a little snipe one, like a little tiny snipe one with a little beak on it.
Yeah.
Those things are cool.
He said that would be just too difficult to control. He said if it gets too small.
Oh, he really said that?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just making a joke.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Cause they got like crows. They have like seagull ones. They have they got all different stuff.
And he sells those. He's the source for those.
Yeah.
It's one of his companies. Yeah.
I mean, amazing guy, inventive mind. When I went on his course, he'd invented his own saddle right from scratch. He invented his own hood pattern, the fox leash, his invention. Incredibly innovative, incredibly intelligent guy. I mean,
I like the fox leash a lot.
Yeah.
I was told that the one in the States is, so listen, Ben, we have a podcast, right? We got thousands of people that listen. So when stuff is said on our show, sometimes we get bombarded with emails and comments. And, I was actually told that the fox leash that we actually use in the States here was actually perfected. And then most people ran with it by, I believe, Steve Lehman. He took it and modified it slightly. And then that's pretty much what we use today.
Yeah. Well, another innovative guy.
But who knows? But I mean, and we could give Steve Lehman that one because Nick's got all the accolades in the world.
Yeah.
Let us have
Steve
that
Lehman's
one.
doing all right for himself, though.
He is, but Nick's on another level. Yeah, we've been trying for a while. He's like I said, I knew he had the row crow. That's how I tried to get in contact with him. I tried to slip in and tempt him with like, oh, I'm trying to place an order. I'm trying to talk to Nick Fogg, and then I sent, trying to get him. That's when I got a response from him.
He smelt a rat. Yeah.
Yeah, he caught me.
Actually, I'm sure he or his team went out to, I think, California recently.
Yeah.
And they did a demonstration and they started selling them out there. Yeah.
Yeah. The old California falconers out there, a bunch of lovely guys out there and gals.
Guys and gals.
Yeah. We have It's kind of like, so, you're a music producer, so it's kind of like the West Coast, East Coast beef, in the rapping community, which you're familiar with as a record producer.
Yeah.
So it's similar in falconry too. There's a little bit of a beef going on.
Right.
Yeah.
A big beef.
Oh, big beef. Yeah, big beef. Yeah.
They know more.
Yeah. They got it easy out there. They're on Easy Street out there.
Don't want to stir up any more trouble than we have to. Yeah.
They walk around in sneakers and shorts and catch rabbits left and right because they're under every bush. And then over here on the East Coast, we got to rip ourselves to shreds through briars and blizzards just to catch one single rabbit. Yeah.
If we're lucky.
Right? If we even see a rabbit.
So Ben, you said no rabbits in Japan?
There are what people call rabbits, but they're in fact very similar to a jackrabbit out there. They're a hare.
Oh, okay.
And you never see them in hawking setups. I mean, you probably would in the north, yeah. Perhaps in Hokkaido, it would be feasible. But here, I've been given a couple that have been hit by cars, and it's excellent meat. It's really nice red meat. But I've never actually seen a live one, and no chance of hawking them for me.
Any tree squirrels in Japan?
No, not well. There will be in certain parts of the country, perhaps up north. There are none here.
So for our American listeners, compared to a state in America, do you know how large Japan is?
I believe it's actually smaller than California. Talking of California, a little bit smaller or about the same size.
Interesting.
California is a good sized state, but
it's huge.
Yeah. So it must be smaller than California, but it's, as you know, it's spread out as an archipelago. So it looks kind of skinny and small, but it's actually bigger than Britain, for example. It looks similar to Britain, but it's substantially bigger than Britain when you add up all the area.
So to drive from one extreme to the other, how long would that take someone?
Good question.
Ben's on an island. He knows everything by nautical miles in the sea.
America, I'm not sure, but I know to get from North Carolina to Arizona is about 30 straight hours.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I would think, if you wanted to go from the south of Kyushu to the north of Hokkaido, we're probably looking at a similar time. To drive to Tokyo, it takes like 10, 12 hours from here. If you went from the very far south to the very far north, I guess about 30. But I'm talking off the top of my head here. I haven't calculated it.
Right.
I'm sure we'll have some listeners that correct us.
Yeah. Some listeners from the States that think they know.
Some Americans that wear kimonos and watch Japanese anime will correct.
Exactly. Correct. That's the way it goes usually. And it's hard to gauge the corrections because you don't know who you're talking to a lot of the time. And you're like, what is this person's credibility? And then now I got to look into it and like go down the rabbit hole. But we do get a lot of really good information from saying things like, for example, like you hear the term Tiercel peregrine, Tiercel, and the old, you always heard it's always, the Tiercel is always referred to the Tiercel peregrine. That's what it was. I was actually corrected. The first time the word Tiercel showed up in literature was in reference to the Tiercel goshawk.
Good God. Who corrected you there? Who was that?
A very well-read listener, and even provided, I'd have to look it up right now, he even provided the book that was published where it showed up, and it was in like the 1400s or something. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, very amazing. I did not know that.
In fact, it makes sense because I have, I might even have the same book, but it's referred to as tassel. Yeah, I seem to remember now. Tassel.
Right. Yeah. Yes. And then, as usual, the long wingers, they tried to steal it for themselves.
Typical long winger stuff.
Typical long wingers thinking they're better than us.
Yeah.
We are.
Right. You're definitely more civilized than us. I'll give you that. You can hawk in a turtleneck and a pair of khakis.
Out of everything in Japan, the mountain hawk eagles really are what sounds cool to me. I mean, no offense to anything else, but that's really what speaks to me.
They are phenomenal birds. Yeah.
There's a movie with the actor who played Mr. Miyagi in Karate Kid, Pat Morimoto. And he had a mountain hawk eagle in it. He was a falconer in Japan. I can't think of the title of the movie.
What is the name? Aaron, we got to get the name of that movie. You can't just throw that out there because now I want to go watch it. While Aaron's looking that up, I also heard that one of the reasons, and not the main reason, but one of the issues with us, and particularly a certain group, there's a couple, there's falconry has its flavors, right? And then there's, people that have their, very strong flavors that they like. And the idea of flying an African sparrowhawk, those African black sparrowhawks, is extremely enticing because they're like a goshawk. They have all the same, they're basically a goshawk, but they're longer legged. They're like very interesting. They're cooler, or, whatever. They're just very cool. And the reason why they're hard to get and that importing is an issue is we have issues with importing. That's number one. But then the Japanese market they get as many as they can from Europe, and Europe would rather sell to them because it's just easier to deal with than dealing with all the BS to get to America. Are there a lot of them in the country, or was somebody was blowing smoke?
It's kind of a bit of blowing smoke. I mean, it probably was true at that point, at that crucial point when he said that. But there was maybe 10, 15 years ago, I can't remember now exactly. There was you would see a lot of dealers would be advertising them. Okay, but since then I've never seen one being flown. Yeah. I don't know what happened to them. Right.
They don't live long from my understanding. And that's what happened here. We got our hands on a few of them and they didn't last very long.
What birds were those, Casey?
The African black sparrowhawk.
Okay. Yeah. You're always talking about those.
I love those things. They're so cool. Yeah. They say they're really birdy, but I've seen guys chasing squirrels in Europe with them, catching rabbits with them. Yeah. And they are a neat looking bird.
They are amazing, and apparently they're very fast. Yeah,
extremely fast. And then, of course, one of the pros, like I was talking about doing the show, I mentioned it in a year ago in an episode, and then I got a South African falconer. He's like walking his dog in like a park by his house, and there's a nest like right in the park. Yeah, and they're flying around above his head, and he's like, they're right here. He's like, bro, they're right here. They're right here. They're not even that. Yeah, he's like, if I want one, I could climb the tree, bro, or whatever they say over there. Whatever they have that interesting accent. yeah. So that's not true. Okay, or maybe it was true years ago because that's what I was told that years ago.
It's actually, there is a big truth in that the Japanese market was a very lucrative market. Yeah, for a lot of breeders. So it was the second market after the Arab market at some stage.
That's big.
And for example, the first Geomados, probably made by Falcon Muse, they were sent straight to Japan. Wow. Because the Japanese were offering the money for them. Yeah. It was a funny experience for me because it was soon after I got here. I think soon after I got back into falconry, I was like looking like what's available, and I saw this couple of Geomados. There was one made with a white Geo and one made with a black, and I thought, what are these Frankenstein monsters? What's going on? Like only in Japan, and then I realized they were made in Britain and sent. Yeah. So there was a lot of that, like the new big thing, the new thing was like the Japanese wanted it, and they were offering good money for it. So the same thing did happen with black sparrowhawks. I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah, and then it was if you were getting birds or there was birds available to come to the States, more than likely they weren't like the top of like what you want to like import. It was like whatever was left over, whatever.
Well, that actually happens here too.
It does?
in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's just a common thing, I guess.
I've got a very small, pure British tearsel, and I'm sure you wouldn't have sold it anywhere else, but somebody in Japan wanted one and they sent it over.
All right.
I'm ready to report back with the movie. I figured it out.
Finally got it after an hour?
So,
go ahead.
It's Pat Morita. I said Morimoto, but that's Pat Morita was Mr. Miyagi on Karate Kid. And the movie is called Captive Hearts.
Ah.
And the cover of it is Pat Morita holding a mountain hawk eagle. Let me share a screen here real quick.
That is fascinating.
Let's see.
Now, while Aaron's figuring out how to do that, I got the pleasure of watching a friend of mine who had a Barbary falcon. Oh, that looks legit.
Ooh.
Wow,
that
looks
new for me.
That looks cool.
Check that out. Thank you.
Yeah, we got to take a look at that.
Oh.
Wow, that's neat. That car, I'd get that. I'd get that in a poster and hang it up my wall.
Yeah, let's get the movie poster. All three of us.
We should. That's cool. So, I had the opportunity of a good friend of mine, Eric Swanson, who I actually just saw yesterday at a barbecue, and he's going to come on the show. And he's a very experienced longwinger, and he got his hands on a Barbary falcon.
Mm.
And I mean, everybody like myself, we all joke around about the longwingers and their long wings, and they're all, everything's all delicate. And so, I mean, this bird was like, I mean, I watched this thing like try to catch a baggie, and I mean, it came in so hard and so just like insane that it overshot the baggie, smashed the ground, rolled like bowling balls, and then like stood up and was like frantically looking for the baggie, and then chased it like a little turkey on the ground and jumped on it. And I was like, man, if there's ever a falcon that I'd like to fly, I mean, that thing is gamey. And then it took a pitch like at the last, and that was like 1 week, and then like 3 weeks later we got back out, and this thing just 3,700 feet on the GPS.
Wow.
In thermal. And I was like, oh my gosh, this bird is like no joke. Is that your experience with them, that they're like that they're hard hitting, gamey? And
yeah, it is. I wonder how that compares to your prairies, though.
It sounds similar, but probably easier to deal with than a prairie.
Yeah. Slightly easier to deal with, a kind of gentler prairie, if you like. Yeah, Barbarys are my number one falcon. They've been my dream falcon since I was 14, and I'm so privileged to be able to breed them. But to be absolutely deadly honest with you, this red napedShaheen, which obviously they're extremely similar birds, he's not quite as dramatic in the same way a Barbary is. I mean, for me, the Barbary is the ultimate flying machine, but the red nape is actually faster on most directions. I think the Barbary is faster in the stoop, and at the bottom of the stoop, everything they do is just, mind-blowing.
Right.
But the red nape can fill in all the other spaces, and it also smack into cover. If it's touched a duck, that duck is not going to escape no matter what the cover, it'll be straight in there.
Oh, wow.
You can see one of my last videos of the hunting season. You can see that. So the Shaheen is not quite as spectacular a flyer in some sense, not as purely beautiful, but I've had more hunting success with the Shaheen. But that could be, I'd have to fly 30 of each to really reach that conclusion,
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So they will. Okay. So that's another thing that they, long wings, they, as a general statement, that they they won't go crash into cover and get in there. Like they don't want to get, they're prissy. They don't want to get in there if they don't knock it dead or it's on the ground. They'll kind of just ring back up and try to get another one.
So the Barbary is a bit like that in my experience, whereas the red nape will, follow it through to the bitter end.
Wow, I like that.
I hate to interrupt this, but apparently there was an actor in that movie named Chris Makepeace.
What?
Are you kidding me?
I'm dead serious.
No way.
My long lost cousin.
I mean, it's got to be
God,
how many
that's
other
insane.
make pieces are there out there?
This is a setup somehow,
There
some
are very,
way.
very few.
You have to know him somehow.
There used to be an American detective series called Dempsey and Makepeace. I think it was American. Have you ever heard of that?
Never heard of that.
Aaron's very well read on all this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
And there was a famous carpenter in Britain, John Makepeace, but other than that, you never hear the surname.
Yeah, John Makewood.
I find out this a little too big of a coincidence here.
That is too big of a coincidence.
That is
a falconry-based movie with a famous actor in it, and one of the people in the movie is Makepeace.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. All right, Ben. Is there anything else you feel like we need to know about? As always, I feel like we're just scratching the surface, but we're doing our best here. I just find it terribly fascinating. Something about Japan, and anything ancient coming from another culture really fascinates me.
Well, as we've talked about, they have this amazing tradition culture, and they've kept a lot of their traditions in every aspect of life, and certainly in falconry. But if you ask me what is modern falconry, it's a very, very niche thing. And on the other hand, you have a lot of pet keepers, status symbol accumulators, much like Britain. Perhaps not so much. In Britain, we have what we call messers. I don't know if you know that term, messers. People who dabble in something very badly. I mean, you
got those in America too.
But at least for falconry, at least you have a system. Yeah,
right.
You have to be accepted by a sponsor. You have to be an apprentice. You have to take your tests. In Britain and Japan, there's zero of that. Yeah, and you get. I mean, I've read a fair few Barberries, Red Napes, Aplomados, and every year I'm waiting back to hear like these amazing stories in the field. But every year it's like, oh yeah, I caught a bird or I caught a pheasant. But consistent hunting is proving that it's successful. But
right.
You hear very little, and people are generally content to just fly their birds about. And if they're happy, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. But the tradition and the knowledge is amazing, and I have a deep respect for it. But the reality is, most of what people call themselves falconers, they're just pet keepers, basically. For better or for worse, that's the reality of it. Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm not asking you to be braggadocious, and it certainly sounds like you are a practicing hunting falconer. Do you think you're, if not the most serious hunting falconer in Japan? It sounds like you're one of them.
Yeah, I'd never call myself number one, but I am one of them. Yes, that's absolutely true. And this last season, obviously there must be people under the radar, but I've asked around, and there's one chap, he has a sparrowhawk. He's probably the only sparrowhawk in the country now for hunting, and he's been targeting teal.
Ooh, that's cool.
Seasons, but with very little success. But at least he's out there every day going for it, And I talk to him and I say, "Is it just you and me?" And he goes, "Yeah, this year I think that's it." I mean, that's the state of things. My other friend was in the past a serious hunter, and he is a serious hunter. He's got the dog and everything. But last year, he cried off, probably because of avian influenza. And he runs a quail farm now, so he's got other things, and he does artificial insemination. He's got a lot on his hands. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you find that in all countries, like you get serious falconers become serious breeders, and then their falconry kind of takes a back seat,
right?
Unfortunately. But I've managed to avoid that trap. I mean, I'm breeding my birds to hunt with. So I've been told by a few Japanese guys that I am, the best, blah, blah, blah. But I would never take that on board, because there's always somebody who's not shouting about it. They're just getting on with serious falconry. And there will always be those people somewhere.
Right.
Probably not particularly sociable people, perhaps.
Right.
So I'd never say. And there are some very fine, knowledgeable, learned people. There's another guy called Sugisaki-san he's really the guy you should talk to about Japanese falconry. He's the most studied and learned, and he does speak a little English. He's a famous hood maker, actually.
Really?
Sugisaki-san.
I'd like to have him on, yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you could make the connection, we would really appreciate it. We've been trying for a while, and it's very difficult to... I reached out to a couple different people, and then because of, Messenger and like technology, I'm having a full-blown conversation with this person, and then it's like, I don't speak any English at all. And I'm like, oh, crap. All right. Well, that sucks. Do you know anybody that does? That would be, a good guest for the show. And they're like,
I'm not sure. I've never spoken. He's a friend of my good friend and he tends to write to me in English. But then when you often get that, like, people are happy to write in English, but when it comes to an English conversation, it's more difficult.
Right. Makes sense. We'll see. Pretty soon we'll be able to do a podcast with anybody, and we'll have everything translated in real time and an earpiece. Exactly. And that's like literally like that's probably like a couple years away from being able to just do that. They already are talking. Actually, I think they already have it where you can wear I got a new pair of AirPods, the Apple AirPods, and it asked me if I wanted to load languages onto it so I could get real-time translations.
Wow. There you go.
And I said for my mother and father-in-law, that'd be actually extremely helpful. You
and your wife can start talking.
That'd be extremely helpful. Yeah, my wife, I've been communicating with hand signals this whole time. It's very inconvenient.
Well, Ben, I sincerely appreciate you carving out time for us. And to you guys listening, I want to fully admit we had worked this out, and the plan was to do Sunday evening for us and Sunday morning for him. Little did I know. I should have known, because I was really stupid on my part, was that Saturday evening for us was Sunday morning for him.
Absolutely.
So it's Monday morning for Ben over there in Japan.
Monday morning, yeah.
So we apologize, Ben. I apologize on Aaron's behalf. But we do appreciate you squeezing us in.
Great shame on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure and an absolute honor to be invited on a platform where, I've listened to Harry McElroy, I've listened to Tony James from Britain, I've listened to all those famous great people, and I'm just a little nobody in Japan. I just happen to be able to speak English, that's all. So it's a great honor to me.
We just had one of your countrywomen, Helen McDonald, on a few episodes ago. She did H's for Hawk.
Right. Yeah.
No, the honor is ours. The great honor is ours. And if we are all finished, I want to end this show by saying this has been a good conversation. The Last Samurai, anybody? Tom Cruise? Excellent movie.
If you say so, sport.
Thank you, Ben, very much.